Hello, hello, hello. We are back in season 6.
Season 6.
Yo, season 6. That's wild.
It is wild.
That is wild.
It's all happening so fast.
It really is. And to think we started from like season 1 with one episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really remarkable. I'm very excited. I'm very proud of us. Look at us.
I am.
Sticking to it, being consistent.
It's the consistency for me.
Okay.
So one of the things that we always like to do is get feedback, right?
Yes.
And so a lot of the feedback that we've gotten has been on our dating episodes. Because yes, you're dealing with all your traumas, your triggers, you're figuring yourself out. And then you get in a relationship or try to get in a relationship. And then all of a sudden, all the things you thought you had worked out and worked through,
They come back to haunt you.
I mean, full
Usually
force.
in the form of someone who's 6 foot something, tall, dark, handsome with the 6-pack, right? Like, that's usually how trauma shows up. I'm not saying all attractive men are toxic or traumatic, but I'm just saying that I wouldn't be surprised if that's what was happening to you. So we wanted to dive in and talk about just what it means to be intentional with your dating, what it means to be choosy, and not nitpicky, not having out of this world superficial, unrealistic standards
and
expectations, but being choosy so that you can get the partner that you so desire, and knowing that you have the power to do so, and standing in that power, and not feeling like your trauma, your past experiences, your girlfriend stories have to be the defining factor in what creates the life that you want. So we just want to kind of give some tips, some things that we've picked up from our girlfriends, from our own experiences that we feel may help you so that your dating experience can be more enjoyable.
Absolutely, because for so many women, and honestly men too, they keep saying there's piss in the dating pool, oh, it's trash. Oh, it's a terrible experience. And it's like, it doesn't have to be. Yeah. Like, I know Dani and I, we say all the time, Dani when she, before she was married, and me now, because you're single until you're married. And that is what I stand on. Okay. I don't care how deep of a relationship you're in. If you file single on your taxes, my good sis, you are single. Okay? Okay.
I disagree with that.
No.
Just want to throw that out there.
You are single. Sorry, not sorry.
How are you single till you're married? What if you're in a committed relationship with someone where you live with them, where you share children with them, where you share property with them? You would still consider yourself single? I feel like that doesn't even sound realistic for most people. How are you single? So single in the sense that you can still date other people and do whatever you want without that other person knowing or being affected by it?
I did not
Unless
say
you're
that.
in an open relationship. Like, how is it you're single till you're married?
You are single until you're married. This is what I mean. This is what I mean by that, right?
What does single mean?
Marriage, whether you agree with marriage, whether you want to get married, marriage does afford you certain allowances, right? Okay. It just does. Again, this isn't a debate. If your partner that you have been common law married to, living with for the past 5 years, y'all got 6 kids together, if he goes into the hospital and a medical decision needs to be made, they're going to ask for his next of kin. And if you guys are not married, guess who that goes to?
I mean, I agree with that.
But that's what I'm talking about, legally.
But it sounds like when you say, I'm single till I'm married, it means you can still be out here doing what you want, even if you're in a relationship with someone.
That is not necessarily what I'm saying.
Okay, so that's for clarity, because that's what it sounds like you're saying. It sounds like you're saying, I'm single till I'm married, which means I'm out in these streets doing me, even if I'm booed up with you.
Okay, so let me clarify, right? Because we all like clarity, and today we're going to talk about clarity too, right? So what I'm saying, when I say I'm single till I'm married, I do mean in the legal sense, in that there are certain allowances that are afforded when you are legally married.
That part, yes.
It hands down, even when one of my girlfriends lives in another country, and when you're living in another country, one that you are not, a citizen of, if some things go down and that person is a citizen and you are not protected. Because marriage affords you certain benefits. It is just a thing. But what I say, when I say I'm single till I'm married, it means even if I'm living with them, even if I have children by them, if they have not agreed that they want to go into covenant with me. And for you to believe what you want to believe, do what you want to do. But if they have not agreed to go into covenant with me, I am not completely closing myself off from someone who is willing to do so. Am I going out looking for somebody? No. Am I going out trying to be in these streets? No, because I like my bedtime. Like, I like to be in the bed. I'm not trying to be out amongst all the people. And also, if that person has not made a definitive decision that I am their person and we are each other's persons and we are going to build and grow a life and empire and all these things together, I can't promise you that I'm going to be like saying no. Your boyfriend is keeping you from your husband, sis.
Oh, hello. Okay, I can see that. So you're just open to...
I'm open. I'm not trying to go out. I'm not trying to let me mess up my happy home. Because for me, because I value marriage, my home not going to be that happy if I got all these kids with you. We living together. We in a committed relationship. And yes, I put it in air quotes. And you can't see that you're ready to dedicate and go into covenant.
So do you think that there should be a time limit that you place on how long it takes to get married? Like, I think a lot of times people have a minimum, like, oh, we need to be dating for at least 6 months or at least 1 year, at least 2 years. But sometimes I feel like people don't have a maximum. Like, we have so many stories of women being with men for 10 years, 20 years, 3 kids, homes, all the things, and they're not married. And if you don't believe in marriage or involving the government in your union,
that's different.
Then I think that's one thing. If it's more like different. A core belief that you just are really holding and you guys are on the same page with that, not you imposing your belief on someone and they just want to be with you so bad that they're going along with it, but they're really miserable.
Yeah.
But I sometimes wonder, is like, did they ever, when I see that and I know the woman wants to get married, I always wonder, like, was there a conversation that happened in year 3 that was like, hey, what are we doing? Because I've been in relationships and right around that 2-year mark, I'm just like, okay.
Start to itch a little bit.
So do you, what, in your opinion, especially since you're still dating and you have a more unorthodox kind of viewpoint and approach to it, do you think that, especially women, since we're not necessarily, in this day and age, women are proposing, but for the most part, women are the ones being proposed to, so we don't always have as much control. But I think we should have some say and kind of be vocal about what our expectations are. But do you think that we should be vocal about how long we think we should be waiting? Like, should we put a maximum limit on how long it takes for our partners to propose marriage to us? Or should we just kind of leave it up to them and float with them for 25 years?
Now, you already know I don't believe in the float, okay? I float in water, not in my relationships. And also, for me, I won't allow a man at my big grown age to date me more than 3 years, and he can't find or see himself in a committed, and by committed, I mean a legally binding marriage with me.
Why 3 years, specifically that number?
3 for me, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, we bring all of them in too.
No. I'm only kidding.
The government, the Trinity, everybody's involved.
The Holy Trinity. So for me, though, honestly, the reason I say 3 years is, for me, usually by the time you round out around year 2, it is extremely difficult to not have experienced so many facets of life with that person. You each have gotten sick. It's possible that you have maybe lost someone close to you. Okay. If you have children, your children have usually gone through phases, because kids go through phases rather quickly. In a 3-year time span, you usually have hit 1 or 2 phases.
Yeah,
exactly. So I've been able to see you in different avenues and different aspects under pressure. You may have gone through some financial difficulties, so I get to see how we handle each other when things are difficult. For me, that 3-year mark is so pivotal, because if you cannot truly say after 3 years of us being together, of us pouring into each other, that this is who you want, this is what you want, building a life together works, then it's a no for me, dog.
So how would you advise, or how would you approach that conversation And do you wait until it's exactly 3 years? Do you tell them earlier on in the relationship that that's your expectation? Like, I don't know if women always know how to communicate the desire to be married when the man doesn't bring it up without coming off as desperate or seeming like they're just like
forcing it.
Yeah, they don't want to see because, you know, and I feel like there's a lot of women who make jokes about like, most women are married because they did force it. But
a lot of women are married because
they did force it. But there are those of us who just don't want, you want to feel wanted and desired. Absolutely. And you want him to just do it, right?
Yeah.
Especially those of us who are extremely secure in ourselves. It's just like, I don't want to feel like I'm forcing this. I don't want to beg him to marry me. I want him to want to marry me.
Exactly.
So when do you have the conversation initially? You know, and what does the conversation entail? Like, how am I saying it? What kind of words, what kind of verbiage are you using that can help you get your point across without seeming too desperate?
Ooh. So for me, I am any guy who has ever dated me, and y'all can all tap in and let folks know when we post this. Y'all could, you know, tell them in the comments exactly how I am. I am very, very open. Like, there is not a conversation that my partner can't have with me that I'm not open to having. Except for maybe a conversation around touching children, old people, and people who can't make choices for themselves. Those are about the only three that I'm not open for that one. Okay? So just as a note. But for the rest of it, I am completely open for it. Even conversations that will piss me off, that will make me mad, you telling me no, I am still open and willing to have most conversations. So for me, from the beginning, I let them know what phase and stage of life I'm in. Okay. And you can do it, and it doesn't have to be this boisterous, rough way. It's as simple as when you guys are in conversation and when you're talking and the conversation comes up with like, okay, so like, you know, what are you kind of looking for? What are you feeling right now? And for me, I always say, I'll know what it is when I find it, and I'm truly dating for partnership, for a lifetime partnership. Yeah. And that starts to weed people out because, A, there's no pressure. I didn't give him a blueprint of what to do with me. Day one. Absolutely, because that's what I'm doing. Now, when I'm not in that stage and phase, when I'm, you know, living my best life, when I'm really out here in these streets, I let them know that too. You know, I'm having fun right now. I'm really enjoying my life. If someone comes along and they compel me or I'm excited to change that, then I'm open to it. But for now, I'm enjoying myself and having fun. Are you down with that, or are you looking for something different? Okay. And then that too, what it does is, so for me, I'm really, really good at assisting men in letting their walls down because I'm so open. Like, there's, again, very little that you can't talk to me about that I'm not willing to, like, okay, well, let's discuss. Yeah. Like, let's discuss.
Okay, so what's some of the verbiage you would use if you're already in the relationship? We're creeping to the 3-year mark. Things are seemingly good, right? But, you know, maybe you all live together, maybe you don't. But 3 years is a pretty serious relationship for most people. Yeah. So what would you say if it's creeping upon 3 years and there isn't like, there aren't wedding bells in the air? Like, what are we saying? What's the conversation?
So for me, again, I firmly believe, and I don't know how many couples do this, but I personally believe in 3-month relationship checkups. So every 3 months, we're having a conversation around what's going well, what do you need more of, what would you like less of, and then how can I show up better for you? Yeah. Like, but that's every 3 months for me. And so because we're having these conversations every 3 months, my partner is used to that. So let's say it's someone who's not used to that. Okay, cool, not a problem. It's if you know you around year 2, year 2.5, and you getting up to that point. Okay, so the conversation starts to happen is, babe, when you look at your future, what does it look like? Do not ask him, do you see me in it? Because he's going to pacify you and be like, of course, babe. Like, I see us, building a house and having children.
Ask open-ended questions.
You want open-ended questions.
Often as you can.
Absolutely. And what you want to do too is you want to get them when they're relaxed. So maybe it's right after you guys had sex.
No. Do not get them. No, because they're not like fully thinking straight. No. What? No. Don't do that.
Let me tell you why right after they had sex, right? Let me tell you why I say right after they had sex. Either right after they had sex or after they've had like 2 drinks.
Well, both or no?
Let me tell you my reason as to why.
Okay.
Because their defenses are low. I'm just being honest. Their defenses are low.
That is not when you want to have serious, life-changing conversations with your partner, everyone. Okay, you like your partner coherent and sober when you're speaking about what you want to do with the rest of your life together. I don't want drunken, endorphin-filled answers.
A drunk man tells no tales. Okay? A drunk man tells 0 tales. So we can do it Danny's way, but I'm going to tell you my way is right after we've had sex. I know he's feeling a little, he's his defenses, laid them defenses down low. Okay? Or he didn't had 2 drinks. Most grown men are not like inebriated after 2 drinks. Unless he is like an alcoholic. And if so, then y'all shouldn't be drinking that way. But he's relaxed. For me, I like having really serious conversations when things are relaxed. I don't like going into it like, okay, and the verdict.
So I think you can have a relaxed conversation at dinner. You can have a relaxed conversation really at home, chilling on the couch. You guys can just talk, or you can have relaxed conversations. I think relax is about an energy, not really like a...
Maybe after being intimate then. And by intimate, I don't mean sex.
Okay.
I mean actual just intimacy. So maybe sexless intimacy, whatever it is, I just need them to be in a relaxed state.
I do agree with the relaxed state part. Like, I don't think that you should try to have very serious, deep conversations at the height of an argument. Like, now you're pissed off and now you're just going to start saying all the things you've been thinking or wondering about. Like, you're mad. You're just like, well, I don't understand why we're not married yet. And it's just like,
oh, that's it. You lost.
You lost, right? So I definitely agree with the relaxed part. I just don't agree with the incoherent or not sober part, or the part that's like just laying there in euphoria, right? Because I do want him to be in his right mind, because I want him to come from his most honest, vulnerable place. And relaxed is true, because I do think that when we try to have those serious conversations in heated moments, it just kind of is counterproductive. So I definitely do agree with the relaxed part, because you talked about 3-month check-ins. So my husband and I do a check-in every month, right?
Okay.
And sometimes maybe more than a month, especially lately. We'll do them more than once a month, because we're just really, really big on communication. It's kind of our saving grace. It's our claim to fame, if you will. Like, we're really big on talking to each other about all the things all the time, over and over. And when Dad told me, I was like, is this what marriage is? Like the same conversation over and over and over. And you just have to be okay with that. Like, that's just nothing you can do about it. And he's like, yeah, like that's a part of it, And I was thinking about what you said when it comes to like wanting to have the conversation when they're relaxed, because I feel like a lot of times when women want to get their point across, we don't know how to do it without emotion. Yeah. And we have to try to remember, if you're dealing with a heterosexual male, especially if he's very like masculine, he's going to tend to be on the more logical end of the spectrum. So when you come to him hyper emotional, it's very difficult for them sometimes to fully process and understand what you're trying to say. Absolutely. So just think of the relaxed state as also like you getting him in a state that he can process and understand what you're saying easier, as opposed to you being emotional, even if it's not an argument, but you're just like bursting at the seams with this issue that you're having, and you're just coming at him at it. He walks through the door and you're just like, I want to be married. It's like, finding the right time is crucial.
Absolutely. And having the conversation, what it starts with is asking that open-ended question like, hey, yo, like, when you look at your life, what do you see? What does that look like? What does that entail? What are you doing? And if he names all these things and none of them includes you, sis, that's your answer.
Yeah.
And it's hard to accept, right? It is heartbreaking, because for some strange reason, as women, we feel like, oh my God, I've given you 1, 2, 3, 5 years.
So if you don't get the answer you want, you're leaving?
If I don't get the answer that I want, and it's been 3 years, we've experienced all these things together, I'll have the conversation about, hey, So in my mind, we're building towards a future and a life together. I completely understand that you are not in this space and place. And also for me, this is a journey this is an experience in this lifetime that I want to have. After that conversation, I'm going to invite them to make their own decision. And
so
again,
anyone else, maybe?
Nope, I'm going to invite them to make their own decision.
That's a nice way to put it.
No, but let me explain what I mean. I am going to allow myself to exit stage left. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to force you into a decision.
Explain your position and how you feel.
Yeah, I'm going to explain my position and how I feel and say, because I will have to blatantly ask the question after he explains his everything. And if it doesn't include me, then I'll ask. So is marriage something that you see for us?
Yeah.
Now that is a yes or no, maybe type of question, right? That one's not open-ended, because after you've explained and expressed your viewpoint of what your future looks like, then I really do need to see, okay, if you didn't include me in that, what do you see for us?
Yeah.
And then based on what his answer is, I then get to make a big girl decision as to whether or not I can deal with that. Because for some women, they are willing to adjust to say, I love you so much that come hell or high water, whether you want marriage, don't want marriage, I am in it with you. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. And for me, because I value and believe in marriage, I know I can't stay in that, because I will constantly be in a frustrated state. I can't stay there.
Do you think that sometimes women, especially nowadays, get convinced out of wanting marriage?
Absolutely.
I think sometimes when I hear people or I see things on the internet, and it sometimes feels like people are saying things that they don't really believe, but they feel like it's what they need to say to protect themselves because of the fear of never getting the marriage or never getting the man, like feeling like, oh, I don't need a man to validate me, or I don't need, and while some of those things might be true, it's just like, if you want to get married, sis, just say that. It's okay to say that out loud, and it's okay to want that. It's okay to say, hey, I have everything else, but I would really like to share this with someone, and I would like it to be in the form of a marriage, and I would like that serious commitment, and I would like children. It's just, I feel like sometimes we're in this space where we can't say those things out loud without it offending people, or without it making you come off as this needy, person who doesn't feel like they're whole without somebody else. And I don't believe that's what it is. I would like to assume that most people are biologically wired for community and for love and for partnership and companionship. And there's nothing wrong with desiring that and wanting that and putting that energy out there. I think sometimes we're kind of working against what we say we want with our energy by acting like it doesn't matter and acting like we don't care whether or not it happens. It's just like,
but
say
you
that you care. Yeah, and you're doing that sometimes in the relationship that you've been in for 17 years, and you're acting like, well, I don't really care, because you feel like if you act like you don't care, then it doesn't look so bad when you tell people that you guys have been together for 17 years without any kind of formal legal commitment. Yeah. I would maybe like to go off on the deep end here and say, maybe if you stop pretending like you don't care whether or not you guys are married so that you can keep him, maybe you'll get the results that you want.
Yeah.
If you are more vocal, it's like after 17 years, like, I don't care if I look desperate. I watched The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and Cynthia Bailey was dating this guy, Mike Hill, for not even that long, maybe like a year or something. But they're older, they're both in like their 50s and stuff, and she was very vocal about how she wanted to get married. Mind you, this is going to be like her third marriage or something. And she said people were calling her thirsty, right? Like, why are you so thirsty? And she was like, I am thirsty. This is my man. I love him, and I want to be married.
That part.
And he damn sure did propose to her, and they damn sure did get married and got divorced. But that's not the point. The point is that she was vocal. So let's not confuse being vocal and using your voice, using your throat chakra to express yourself and to let things be known with desperation, neediness, clinginess, insecurity.
Yeah.
The same way, like a closed mouth don't get fed, you have not because you ask not, all those things. If you want to be married, if you want a serious committed relationship, don't be afraid to vocalize that for fear of losing something that you don't have anyways.
Exactly. And that's the whole point too about getting choosy, right? It is using your throat chakra to tell yourself and also to tell others. And it doesn't have to be some wild, boisterous, loud type of a thing. It literally, you just embody the energy.
Yeah.
Like every dude I date is clear on the fact that I want to get married. And if I'm being honest, every one of them have been like, yo, I could see myself marrying you. Now, I couldn't for many of them. But that's not the point. The point is because I embody that. Like, I am a wife. I am clear on that fact.
Yeah, I definitely think that's an energy. Men say that too when I speak to them. They say that there's like an energy that certain women carry, or wifey material, or she just seems like, you know, we've said this a few times on the podcast that men typically know within about 5 minutes what the potential really is between you two, whether you're just going to be a little jump off, whether you're just going to be, you know, he fly you in every now and again. Are you going to be a long-time girlfriend?
Yeah.
Are you just comfortable for fun? Like, they typically have an idea based on your energy and obviously conversation and connection and things like that. But it starts with your energy based on how you carry yourself, what you'll tolerate, and how much they can play with you. So you do have to, I like that you're saying, you know, I embody that because that's what you want. So it goes back to accepting that that's what you want and being okay with being vocal about that. Exactly. So that you can embody that. If you keep trying to act like it doesn't matter, you're going to embody a woman who
is a jump off.
Yeah.
And no disrespect.
Yeah.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with being a
they
jump
won't
off.
take you seriously.
There's nothing wrong with being a jump off if that's what you want. Listen, I have wanted to be a jump off many a times in my 36 good years of living, and I had a great time. I knew I didn't want anything serious. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to play around. I wanted to be in these streets. And now that that's something that I no longer want to do and be, and please understand that being in these streets don't mean you sleeping with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Like, relax. It just means you are open and free, and that's the only time you're free to float. Okay? It's the only time.
And let's also, I think social media can have us thinking that the exceptions are the rules all the time. And you have people who are telling you about their exceptional story of how this happened, even though they did this. And they're talking about an anomaly or a one-off or a few off in the universe of things. So it's just important to, of course, always have high expectations for yourself and standards and want the best, but don't always bank on the idea that your story will be the exception and not the rule, because that's why we have rules and exceptions. Because most people, you know, and sometimes it's like, I don't want to be this like harsh truther and this person that's like, oh, be realistic, and like this realist, like this uber realist. But so Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, they're not real places.
It's not a real place.
And I know that we are seeing all these wonderful stories and all these things happen, and that could be you, but the chances of that being you are a lot less than you think. That's just my opinion. So just to yield better results, why not take a more effective, realistic approach based on who you are, your lifestyle, your goals, and the partner you desire?
See, that's what I'm talking about getting choosy.
Yeah.
You really do have to clarify, what do you want your experience in dating, in a relationship, in partnership, what do you want that to be?
Yeah.
What does that look like for you? What does that feel like for you? What type of partner do you want? Do you want one that's uber successful? Understand that things come with that. They're busy.
They don't got no time, child.
So if quality
Zero
time, listen, if quality time is your thing, then you might not want that. You may want a person who's a lot more traditional, who has maybe a more traditional job,
or he has more of a set schedule where you know what to expect. You know that at this time he's going to be here, at this time he's going to wake up, where you want somebody that's more on a set routine. Yeah.
Maybe a set routine does not work for you because you want to be able to be a free spirit.
That's such a good point, you know, like, again, going back to seeing things online and feeling like that's what you want when that's not really what works for you
That
and your
won't
lifestyle.
work.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But you have to get clear. Clarity informs your decisions, and your decisions inform your choices, and that is how you get what you want ultimately. Yeah. Get clear. Do you want a man who brings you flowers every week? Yeah. Who takes a look and sees your problems and then solves them? Or are you the woman who prefers to solve problems, and you don't want nobody coming to solve all your problems because it literally brings you great joy to solve your own problems?
Yeah.
And you want a partner who will just be there to cheer you on because words of affirmation is your jam.
Yeah.
Get clear.
So it sounds like getting clear involves a lot of self-exploration.
Absolutely.
And you getting to know yourself and what your requirements are and what you like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times women don't know what they like or what they're into, what they like to do. Like,
no clue.
I ask my clients all the time, I'm just like, okay, what is your idea of a relaxing day? Or what is your idea of a fun day? What do you like to do? And I'm always so surprised at how little
people know.
Yeah, and how much thinking it requires, and how often the response is, you know what? I don't know. I never thought about it. I'm like, you're 47 years old and you never thought about what you like to do?
A lot of people have never thought
about what they like to do, what they like, what they're interested in. It just is not something you think about, and it seems so simple, and it seems like you know, but ask yourself, like, sit down and be like, if I had to plan a whole day and I just had 24 hours and an unlimited budget to do me, what would I do to bring me joy? And if you can't figure that out, how the hell are you supposed to figure out what kind of partner best suits you?
Yeah.
You can't just base it off of rappers and Instagram influencers
and Valentine's Day pictures
and movies and things that tell you what you should expect or what romance is. It's like, and you know something else, and I've learned this the hard way too many times, is when there are things that you require, be clear on the things that are, like we talked about before, the must-haves, the nice-to-haves, and like the non-negotiables.
Absolutely.
And in expounding on that a little bit, if you really do want a man that gives you flowers every day or every week or whatever your
cadence is,
then don't settle for someone who's not going to do that. Or is not willing to change to do that for you. Because a lot of times I think what happens is we get in these spaces and we're just so happy sometimes to be in a space with somebody else, that we will just kind of take what we can get. And we'll say, oh, maybe it's not that serious. Who needs flowers all the time? They die anyways.
No, but you like that.
A year in, when all the butterflies and all the honeymoon phasing is over, then it's just like you're going to look around and be like, damn, I really do like flowers. Like, I do want flowers. It makes me feel good when I have flowers. So it's just be very real with yourself and figure out does it look like and what does that feel like to you and why does it matter? And I think if you can put a why behind some of the things you require, it'll make you a lot less willing to settle for not having it.
Yes, it will help you to say no, and also to identify when he's really not that into you. If it's one thing that I am super good at now, and it took me a long time, my ex actually taught me this, shout out to you, where it was every single time I needed him to show up for me or to be there for me or to really come through. And mind you, he had at that point been the most thoughtful man I had dated. And even still, every time I really needed him, he just couldn't figure out how to show up. And what we realized when we were finally uncoupling, he said something to me. He was like, but this has always been our problem, where you really needed something and I just couldn't figure out how to do it. And then he'd get with someone else right after me and be able to do all the things for them. It's because he did not really like me like that. He liked the idea of me. Loved the idea of me, but did not like me and could not manage or handle the responsibility of dating a woman like me. So you got to get super clear and figure out, do they really like you? Listen, we gonna keep the party going. Like, to know that about someone, that as much as I like you, you don't fuck with me the same way.
Yeah, but to like admit that to yourself, or even to even have that conversation with them, like, hey, like, I feel like you're just not that into me. I feel like you don't really like me. It's just, I don't think most people want to face that or acknowledge that or accept that. And it can get us in those 17-year relationships with people who don't want to marry you. And please understand that people will stay with you out of comfortability.
Absolutely.
Like, that is a very real thing. Like, you can be a very safe space to someone, but they are not in love with you, but it's just easy. And a lot of men will opt for easy and comfortable over challenging, real, passionate love. Like, it's just what we do. It's safe. It is cheap. It's cheap. Yeah, you know what I mean? It doesn't require a lot of emotion. It doesn't require a lot of effort, because you're typically on the other side of it, just taking what you can get from that person. So I try to advocate for women to make sure that what matters to you is communicated on a consistent basis throughout the relationship at all times. Because if it doesn't matter to you, it does not matter to them.
Yep.
It just doesn't. And we have to be honest with ourselves as to where things are going and how this person is treating you, and if it's aligning with the things that you said you wanted 5 years ago, the things you said you wanted in your 20s. Like, does this person fulfill those things? And men show so many signs of not really being that interested in you. The first one is, if he really wants to, he would. He will, y'all. Men, I mean, there have been wars started over vaginas. Wars. Entire wars. Hundreds of millions of people have died because a man wanted some pussy, y'all. Like, that's a real thing. Like, I watch these shows. Like, I'm watching this show called Valhalla. It's like a show about the Vikings. And you just see the lengths that these men were going to get women. And how powerful women were. Yes. And how much they affected the power structure. And so much of the world today has been shaped by the fact that a man just wanted that pussy in particular. And he will move heaven and earth for it. To get it, you know? And we're just like trying to chase down a man who won't call us back.
Like, for why?
And there are men, I mean, it's just, when I hear stories of the things that women have gotten out of men doing absolutely nothing just because he just decided that that's what he wanted. Yeah. And we just, this generation of women, I'm sorry, but we just settle for like the bare minimum at this point.
The basement. Because we feel as though, we're taught that what you want is not possible and you are being outrageous. Understand, it's a butter for every bread. Whatever you want in a man, I promise you can get it. That same boyfriend that I had dated for forever, like off and on, we had been in that thing for so long, and then I finally realized that he didn't like me like that. I had started dating a dude in October, y'all. January came around and I really needed his help because my movers got COVID, all the things happened. This man met me at my new place with his homeboy and moved my entire house into this 2-story, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath home, and then ordered furniture for me. Mind you, I had not slept with this young man yet. Ordered furniture for me, made sure I had food, made sure I had flowers, made sure I had candles because I love candles. Listen, I too have been a victim of accepting and allowing less.
Oh, I've done it. Not a whole lot, but I have.
And also, if a man wanted to, he will.
Yeah, that's always number one. If he wants to, he will. If he says he's going to do something and he doesn't want to do something, if he says he's going to do it and he doesn't do it in a timely manner, that's a red flag that he's probably not that interested for real. Yeah. Like, they are very intentional because you have to think they're hunters, right? Mm-hmm. If you believe in biology, they're hunters and they go after things and they like the chase and they want to like get this thing. So they like zero in on you when they want you, and sometimes it's just to conquer you, and sometimes it's for the wrong reasons, but they will make it very known and they will make it almost impossible to shake them. Like when they're after, oh my God, I've had, like when a man is after you, you just like, oh my, like sometimes I used to always say, I've been in relationships with men that grow on me like a fungus. Like I was not interested in this young man, but he was so persistent and he was so determined. It was like, well, damn, I guess I gotta get you something now. Like that has happened to me, and I'm just like, God, like I don't. And then in a year or two, I'm like, I do not like you, but it just was always so flattering, and it made me feel so good that this person was so determined to have me as their partner. So, I think women need to pay more attention to what a man is doing.
Absolutely.
Versus what he's saying. If
and
his
what
words
you're feeling.
and what you're feeling and
Yes.
how digmatized you are, like his words and his actions need to be in alignment.
Yes.
And your intuition, tap into that. Trust that.
Tap in.
If it feels off, it probably is. If
off.
it sounds like he's lying, he probably is. Like trusting the fact that you know better and that you can make good decisions and you can be choosy and choose the right thing for yourself, even if you've made bad decisions in the past.
Absolutely. So we just gave you, point number 2. So number 1 is get clear, right? Number 2 is to also be fully aware and pay attention to your intuition so that you can know when he's just not that into you. Because you need to be very aware of when he's just not that into you. And then I would say the third one would be, once you get to that point, get super clear on what your triggers and traumas are that cause you to sabotage really healthy relationships.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. And it's again facing that mirror of even realizing that he's just not that into you. Now you got to face the mirror to figure out how you fucking it up. That's tough.
Listen.
I don't do that.
Nobody does. Nobody does. Nobody. Because it is an extreme amount of work. Like I know for me, one of the major things used to be is I would leave them before they could ever leave me.
Okay, so you don't want to be abandoned.
But that's because before then, I would be completely done with the relationship and I would never say anything. So my throat chakra was closed. And so then I started speaking up too much and I'd be like, it's okay. I feel like this is going to be over. Let me go ahead and just chuck the deuces and say goodbye to you. Bye. And so now it's like, okay, what does a happy medium look like?
Yeah, I'm learning like your attachment style. Like I have an anxious attachment style where like I need constant reassurance. Like I just told my husband that yesterday. I was like, look, if you don't constantly tell me how you feel about me and your behavior changes for any reason, I will internalize that and think it's my fault. No matter what you say to me, if it's not telling me how amazing and wonderful and how in love with me you are. And I need you to do that. And I know that's so strange and probably so draining and exhausting, but that is just the truth of who I am. And I know that I need that because of, and I told him, I was like, I don't know what the fuck happened in my childhood to make me like that. I don't have a vivid memory of the trauma and of the moment. I don't know. But all I know is constant reassurance is a thing for me. I need it. I just have to have it. It's a requirement. And in relationships in the past that I have had that, I tend to stick around a little longer than I'm supposed to. But, I get very I always feel like, oh my God, am I doing something? Is something wrong? And then I think sometimes to protect myself, what I would do in past relationships is just kind of guard myself and shut down so that nobody could ever kind of penetrate me for real and get really close to me for real, because I'm always kind of anxious that things are going to go wrong. So I just kind of keep them, like I always say, like in every relationship besides in my current marriage, is I always have one foot in the house and one foot out the door. Like I'm always ready to go. Like I feel like I always just have a bag, so I'm sure there's some abandonment issues in there. Really, I don't really know from where, but these are things you do have to explore, like finding out your childhood traumas, going to therapy, doing things that can help you uncover your whys so you can change your hows and your whats.
Yes.
Like if I didn't go to therapy and if I didn't do some of the work, I wouldn't know I had an anxious attachment style, right?
Yeah.
And how to change that into a secure attachment style and how to navigate what that change looks like so that I can be a better person to my partner, because I don't want him to feel like he has to reassure me every day. And I don't want to feel like, and I don't want him to feel like if he's not assuring me that he's not being a good partner, because that's really not necessary. Like, I should feel secure in our relationship and know, of course, it's nice to hear it sometimes, but it shouldn't be something that I'm just like, is so important. Like, I just don't want that, you know? So now I'm working on changing my attachment style, which is something you can do with some knowledge and some books and some therapy. So learning your attachment style, I definitely think is a good place to start, to kind of figure out how you function and how you show up in relationships.
Absolutely. And so listen, so we didn't just give y'all all this information and y'all just got to keep listening to this over and over and over again. What we did is we took all of our knowledge, information, experience, even got some good info from therapists, relationship therapists for y'all, and we wrapped it into a dope ass course called Dating Well AF. Listen, if you are a woman who has been having trouble not only finding the type of partner that you want, but also getting in committed relationships that are leading towards what you want it to lead towards, you need to go ahead and get this course. Trust me, you need it.
Yes, it's the real deal, and it's not about giving you a magic pill.
No.
Of, you know, meeting Prince Charming. It's about doing that inner work, doing that outer work, going to the right places, having the right energy, embodying femininity so that you can attract, and not in some, like I said, magical way, but in a very intentional, real, effective way.
Yes, absolutely. So go head on over, go to triggeredafpodcast.com, and you will see that there's a link right on the page that you can go there, and you will be able to tap right on into there so that you can join the course. It is an on-demand course. You take it at your leisure, and we, of course, being a member of the course, you are invited into our community. You get invited to all types of in-person events. We will have some once, not because we ain't doing this all the time, but we will have some live sessions as well that you can join into, that you can ask actual questions, present scenarios, and also keep us up to date on your dating experiences.
Because we want to know.
We do. It does not have to be hard. It does not have to be daunting. But do understand the most important life decision that you will ever make is who becomes your partner. And we want to make sure you are learning to date well AF.
So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. We hope it was helpful for you. And we hope that you join this course for a deeper, better, more detailed dive.
Yes. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.